Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Brain, where I actually just finished my book, finished my coffee, while I was actually pulling this next book up on my tablet. So we don't have coffee, but we do have book reviews, and we have clouds that are potentially going to have some rain in them. So let us just go ahead and dive right in to Let Me Out by Amanda Brittany. It says, buried secrets are coming to the surface. Bum, bum, bum. Pre-order. Oh, I don't know why it says pre-order. I mean, I guess it could, but I think this book already came out. Yeah, it came out June 29th. A twisty, unput-downable, pulse-pounding psychological thriller from Amanda Brittany, perfect for fans of Frida McFadden and C.L. Taylor. Buried secrets are coming to the surface. We should probably update that pre-order word and just say a twisty. Annie has avoided returning to her hometown of Ridgewater since the terrible night 12 years ago when her childhood best friend Giselle lost her life. But now Annie's brother has been injured in an accident identical to Giselle's, and she knows she must go back. Giselle's mother, still living in the house next door to Annie's family, is as creepy as ever, consumed with the memories of her dead daughter, Natalie. An Oh, her. Okay, that's phrased very weird. Giselle's mother, still living in the house next to Annie's family. Okay, yeah, is creepy as ever and consumed with the memories of her dead daughter. Period. Okay. Natalie, another of Annie's old friends. Sorry, I thought that was a comma. That's why I was like, wait, Giselle's mom is not Natalie's mom. Moving on, Natalie, another of Annie's old friends, is similarly obsessed, desperate to uncover the truth of what really happened that night. Then, Annie and Natalie discover that another girl went missing in Ridgewater around that time. Could Annie's brother be involved? And was there really a voice calling "Let me out" from behind a locked door? As the connection between Annie's family and the tragedy 12 years before start to emerge, things grow more sinister, and Annie's own safety comes under threat. Is Ridgewater about to claim another victim? Question mark. And then there's some praise for Amanda. This is about 337 pages on the Kindle edition. I think I read mine on the NetGalley Reader, which is not on my phone, but rather on my computer. I don't know, just read it that way, and so I just read it based on percentages instead of pages. It doesn't really do pages on the reader, but it did publish on June 29th of 2025. So I'm just reaching over here to scroll up, and we can go down to the bottom. There we go. So my personal thoughts were, is it kind of, in my personal thoughts, and I'm giving it a 4 stars because I thought it felt a little slow, personally, and just a little bit disjointed. I didn't know what I was trying to follow at first. It felt as though it didn't know which mystery I was really working towards for like a hot minute. I don't think until 60% of the way through the book I started to see things tie together. But for the first 60% of the book, I just thought we had all these different things going on, and it just felt kind of overwhelming. I'm not saying it wasn't. I don't even call this a thriller. They say this is a master. This one particular person who gave it 5 stars, Lisa, kind of have to argue. She says it's a masterfully woven thriller that grabs you from the first page and never lets go. I do argue. Poor Annie. Annie is she's a doctor. I guess as a child, one of her life goals was to become a doctor. And I think growing up, she was really close to her brother. And however, Elliot, she hasn't talked to him in a little while. I guess, I don't know if she's just kind of put work first for a while. Actually, I do know that's what's happened is she's put work first before her mom or Elliot for quite a while. Well, she gets home one day and finds that there is a note on her doorstep that says, "You need to come home, your brother's been in a serious accident." Come to find out that her brother was in a serious accident. He fell off a cliff near their house in Ridgewater, like 6 weeks previously. And so he's been, I think, paralyzed and almost catatonic at their family home where their is. And she's kind of put out that she didn't know sooner. But the thing is like, in my personal brain, I'm like, well, girl, you've kind of been um distancing yourself from your family anyway. You've been putting other things first anyway. I'm not sure I really like blame them, but yeah, maybe they should, like, your mom should have told you sooner. Maybe, like, there was also a point, like a thing mentioned that her mom had put like butterfly confetti in the envelope as well, and I thought, well, that's a little weird. But her mom also seems just a little weird. Like, her mom talks about fairies like a lot. So her mom seems, I don't know, there are moments where I feel like her mom's a little distracted, disconnected. But Annie then goes home and takes a little bit of a sabbatical away from work, it seems. And honestly, I'm not even certain if she wasn't already on sabbatical to begin with, because it seems as though she's kind of been working with some mental health issues after she broke down delivering some news to a mother and their child. So she may have already been on sabbatical anyway. Now, I will say there were some genuine twists in this book, and like I said, like, it didn't, but the thing is it didn't happen, like, I didn't realize a lot of it was connected for like a significant portion of the book. I thought, okay, here's Elliot over here, here's Giselle from like 12 years ago, here's Natalie from like 25 years ago, and all of it's completely like, all of it is just on Annie's shoulders to figure out. Like, just figure it out, Annie. You are the only person who can do this. You are just this random person. Go figure it out. Nobody else is going to help you. And so that for me was not like super fun, because I guess in my personal thoughts, I put myself in Annie's shoes. And I felt resentful. I am an older sister. I have a younger brother. And if my mother, she would definitely tell me, if my brother was in an accident and someone didn't tell me for 6 weeks, I would be so mad, like so mad, like I would be so angry. However, if then I went to go home to visit or go to see my brother and then find out that one of my best friends decides to trauma dump some information on me that happened 25 years ago, which would probably put me right back in high school, senior year of high school, which would be about right. Tell me some stuff, and I'd be like, okay, you're gonna tell me this now? I would just be like, what? So I don't know. At this particular point, I'm just like, this is so much. There are a lot of characters from Annie's past, very funny enough that they all seem to live in or around the same area that they've always lived in, of Ridgewater. So we do have a lot of that going on. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting, but it did take me a minute. It didn't grab me as quickly as it did for Lisa, but it did ultimately grab me. Now we do get to have a couple of questions. I thought this was going to have more supernatural / spooky things going on. I thought perhaps some paranormal. I like the ghosty things. There are some references to people having seen ghosts and potentially some ghosts in the woods, which definitely piqued my interest. There's lots of emotional trauma, such as grief and guilt and survival and all of that. But I definitely think it's more of an emotional undercurrent rather than supernatural in this particular book. Lots more trauma than I anticipated. I do like Annie. I think she's a very interesting character. And I still think I have to disagree a little bit on the fast pacedness that people say. I thought it was very interesting that the book told us about this one particular, like, kept introducing us, like, there's this guy named Tom, but oh, Annie's busy, okay, and then, oh, let's go meet up with Tom for a drink, and then she steps to the loo, and oh, he's gone. So that's very interesting. Just pointing that out there if you kind of want to track something. I don't know. Maybe he did it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe it's a red herring. I don't know. I do know, but I'm not telling. So, a lot of people, again, I'm just kind of scrolling to see if there's anything that I felt like I'm missing, because I don't feel like it's as deep as some people are kind of talking about. They're saying it's a good twisty read. Yes, it does have some good twists and turns. I mean, Giselle's mom is definitely a mommy dearest sort of mom. What's her name? It's something with an M. It's like Moira or Mariah or anyway. But she is definitely the type who was like, well, I got pregnant. She got pregnant with Giselle at while she was training to be a ballerina by her ballet teacher. So now Giselle must live the ballerina life because Giselle's mom gave up that life in order to have Giselle. So Giselle being the best thing she ever had, best thing she ever did, but now Giselle must suffer and be the ballerina. And then Giselle, who lives next door to Annie, so Annie lives in what they call fairy cottage, because, and I guess it's because Annie's mom is constantly saying like the fairies are there, but it seems as though Giselle's family lives in a much larger manors type home, and Giselle's mom kind of sees Annie like an urchin. So I think that's why she stopped letting Annie come over and visit. Now, supposedly, now I'm just telling you some of the beginning of the book. I'm not telling you some stuff towards the end where we get some of this twisty-turny stuff. But in the beginning of the book, we do learn that Giselle seems to get, what is it? It's the allergy to sunlight. At about the age of 11 or 12. And it seems very odd, but she's unable to go outside anymore during the daylight, or she gets like these red whelps and things on her skin, which is very interesting. I'm not saying anything, I'm just making a reference to what happens in the book. But overall, thought it was pretty good. It did keep my interest until the end. I do think it picks up towards the end where things start to come together and things start to really make sense, and we do start tying things together. It is very interesting that Elliot does seem to fall from the cliff at the same place that Natalie potentially perhaps and self-exited off the cliff. But if this sounds like something that you would be interested in, if you like a little bit of suspense drama, then you may want to pick this up, because I think Elliot has something that's a little bit more of like he's catatonic, but not medically catatonic. Like the doctors can't find a reason why he's not speaking, so it's like more of a at least at this particular moment, in my personal thoughts, when I first picked it up and we kind of learn about it at the beginning, we hear the mom tell Annie that there's no real medical reason why he's not talking, he's just not. So my thought was that some level of trauma has caused him not to talk, which could be self-locked-in syndrome or something of that nature. He does have a caregiver named Michael who seems to come over daily to care for him, help turn him, and those sorts of things as well. But let's just say, some things in the past, they happened very close together. Actually, you know what? Yeah. I was going to say, I thought the Giselle thing, I thought Giselle falling off the cliff happened well after the Natalie thing, but maybe they happened around the same time as each other, because someone else is making a mention that they realized all the tragedies occurred so close together, and for some reason in my brain, I had the Natalie thing happening way sooner, but you know what? That would make so much sense. Huh, okay, yep, you know what? Never mind. I had something wrong in my head timeline. Okay. Yep. Anyway, but I think we can learn something from each other, especially now that, again, I don't frequently read reviews until I come on here with you guys and start to try to put my thoughts together with regards to the books that I've read. I like to kind of free think and talk about them to you all because I feel like it's more organic, but it's also a little bit more honest with respect to the book and giving a review. Sure, I could sit here, I could script it out, and I could really make it sound super great or super awful, depending on what I thought. But I don't really like to do that. I don't think it's as honest or the like, so to speak. So I come on here and sometimes I disagree with people and sometimes I do agree with people. So hit or miss. But I also like to know what people think as well and then have arguments with them, or maybe not arguments, but discussions. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.